I have the pleasure and honor of introducing to you Beatty O'Brien, who is a cancer survivor and she'll be speaking to us about the work she does and her journey as well as a cancer survivor. She is an inspiring cancer survivor, speaker, and health advocate, and she's known for a remarkable journey of overcoming stage 4 melanoma. She was diagnosed at the age of 17. She initially underwent traditional treatments which included surgeries and chemotherapy, which temporarily managed the disease. However, at the age of 20, the cancer returned aggressively, which it frequently does, and she was given just months to live. Determined to find an alternative path to healing, Beatty embarked on a holistic approach that combined dietary changes, lifestyle adjustments, and integrative therapies. She credits a combination of faith, perseverance, and support from loved ones for guiding her through her battle with cancer. Her approach involved adopting a plant-based diet, utilizing vitamin C infusions, and exploring spiritual practices that strengthen her resolve. Today, Beta is cancer-free and dedicates her life to inspiring others. She speaks at events, shares her story through social media, and mentors individuals facing similar health challenges. The power of pursuing a personalized approach to healing. Bailey's journey reminds us of the importance of advocating for our own health and maintaining faith in the face of adversity. I can't overemphasize that last statement. Welcome, Bailey. Um, again, we were talking before we went on, sharing with Bailey the importance of having people of her, background come and talk to the general public. And, just looking at that history, when the cancer came back aggressively, being only given months to live. And I hear these stories frequently, patients with even less aggressive disease states will see the doctor say, well, you only have a year to live, you don't have, in conditions that are well known to be reversed, but not maybe as thought to be as lethal as stage 4 melanoma. And for her to have the courage and strength to do what she did, to dig within herself, reach out to her community, is an amazing testament. And I think it should serve as a formula for all of us, regardless of how severe or mild our ailments are. This is the formula for optimal health. Even if you don't have a diagnosis, it's a perfect formula for optimal health because it's truly what, leads to your healing is the determination and the ability to look outside the box for other ways to allow your body to heal itself. So again, thank you, Beatty, for coming and joining us, and I look forward to your enlightening presentation.
Thank you so much. It's a privilege to be here with everyone. Thank you for joining. Thanks for coming on video. I love to see your faces. Thank you, Dr. Montgomery, and thank you, Jackie, so much for organizing this. And I look forward to sharing with you. So, well, I was 17, like Dr. Montgomery said, when I was first diagnosed with melanoma. It was stage 3. I was in my first semester of college. And one of the biggest factors I think that contributed to my diagnosis was the amount of stress that I was under. I was on a partial athletic scholarship, and I didn't think I deserved it. I felt very out of place as an athlete and a student, and socially, I didn't really have I was surrounded by people, teammates. I had about 50 of them, but I didn't really feel like I fit in with them or could really share the things that I was struggling with.
What sport were you in?
I was a springboard diver.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I was on the swim and dive team. And so the way I dealt with my stress was turning to food, mostly for comfort. I tried talking to my mom, but I didn't really have a solid foundation to stand on or find confidence in. So it was at the end of the first semester, or around the end of the semester, I found a mole on my right temple, and I had a biopsy not long after that. and went home for Christmas break and found that the biopsy had come back positive for what they believed to be melanoma. I had my first oncology appointment the day after Christmas, and they found out that the cancer had spread to a nearby lymph node in front of my ear. Then I had surgery to remove 45 lymph nodes from my neck. And fortunately, those were all negative, but my doctor wanted to be aggressive in the treatment. And so I had 1 month of treatment called interferon, which is like an immunotherapy type of medication. And then my doctor said that he didn't think the cancer would return. I was young and otherwise healthy and fit, athletic. So he just said I would get scans every 6 months or so, and then return to college, and then go on with my life. I would follow up with a dermatologist. But about 2 years later, I had another. My stress level had gone down after that. And I was doing better overall. I wasn't eating the way that I was. Even though I was studying nutrition, and I was interested in it, and I believed that, it could help things like diabetes. I really had no concept of, that it could help with managing cancer or even healing it or preventing it. Yeah, I had been dating someone, and we ended our relationship, and that was like extremely stressful for me. So melanoma can recur, or often recurs, after 2 years anyway, but I also had that stressful event. And then I had a scan that showed an area of concern, and it turned out to be a recurrence behind my jaw. I had surgery to remove that. I actually ended up with 2 tumors in that area. And then I had 1 month of radiation treatments. And unfortunately, 2 weeks after I finished radiation, when I thought I was in the all clear, I felt a little lump under my chin, and that turned out to be more melanoma. And then I had another scan, which showed that there were up to 6 other cancerous spots in my body, in my neck and my lung and my spine. So,
do you have symptoms like shortness of breath or back pain or anything with these
no, I never had any pain or symptoms of the cancer besides what I could see or feel. So I was pretty discouraged at that point. Did not really have much hope. I felt pretty discouraged that I had done everything my doctor said I should do, and I was still like I had just finished treatment and it just got worse. So that doctor believed I had 7 months to live without treatment, or 14 months to live with treatment. I got multiple other opinions. One doctor said 2 years if I did chemo and surgery and radiation. But that was like within the conventional medical system. But my mom had a friend who had been researching alternative medicine, who believed, she said, I believe 100% that, Bailey, you're going to get well, and we just need to figure out what's going to work for you. And my mom was very much, she was more optimistic than my doctors were as well. And she did a ton of research, she and her friend. And, other people had encouraged me to trust God and to pray and ask God for healing. And I hadn't really been very spiritual up to that point, but I started to pray as often as I thought about it, maybe a couple times per day. And I said, God, if you're there, please give me a miracle, because I wanted to live.
Let me ask you, so at that point, so your mother, a friend, they were very positive, brought the spirituality and the confidence and the power of God there, so they introduced that to you. So then you adopted that. How did you feel at that time? So you started to pray. What was your feeling at that first moment when you started to pray and was it like, well, I don't know if this is going to work, but let me just try it? Or was it, hey, okay, this is maybe my next? How did you feel exactly? What was at the very beginning when you started to pray?
Yeah. my mom and her friend were more into like the medical research aspect of it, but there were a
Mhm.
few other people who were more spiritual,
Gotcha.
giving more spiritual encouragement. But so from the spiritual side, I was kind of like, okay, maybe on the medical side, I was desperate and open to anything at that point.
Mhm.
And my mom and her friend had found people who had healed from terminal diseases, and then my mom came across a couple of therapies that had really good statistic statistically successful treatments for melanoma.
Mhm.
And one of them was nutrition based, the Gerson therapy.
Mm.
um, and that there was a specific study from 1995 about 5-year survival rates in melanoma patients who did this therapy. And I was already studying nutrition, so it already made sense to me. And just to know that there were people who had healed from cancer using this, and I was young and relatively fit. Um, it was a 60% 5-year, or no, the diet therapy was a 39% 5-year survival rate, but there's an alternative medicine available that had a 60% 5-year survival rate. And the person that we talked to who had studied both of them, he was very optimistic for me. And so I was like definitely more positive. I was certainly not denying the fact that my mortality was before me, and it was very possible that I could die. But I was definitely way more hopeful at that point than I had ever been. And just the thought that I could uh, essentially reverse it was very encouraging and empowering to me. And I
Now,
was willing to do whatever I had to.
the alternative medicine component, was that something that included the plant-based diet plus other things like vitamin C or what?
Yeah. Well, this one particular statistic was based on people who did well, I don't know everything that they did. eh, but it was a mixed bacterial toxin injection called Coley's toxins.
Mhm.
And so that was, only available in Mexico. And that's why ultimately I decided to go there for 3 weeks and do that treatment, plus the intravenous vitamin C and amygdalin or Laetrile, and the diet therapy, which included a lot of vegetable juices and mostly plant-based diet, which focused on
Did you go to the Gerson Clinic in Mexico?
I went to it's they followed the Gerson therapy, but it was called Chipsa Hospital.
Is that can't remember his name off the top of my head.
Well, Gar Hildenbrand was the methodologist there at that time,
Okay.
and he's the one who's basically excuse me, mentored me along the way since then, since 2011.
Wow, fascinating, fascinating.
Mhm.
So, when did you start to feel a sense of turnaround, a change of events? What you apparently you went to Mexico, you got on the program. When did things start to the objective events start to change in your favor?
Well, actually, it was before I got to Mexico. I had measurable shrinkage of the cancer under my chin. I believe hope was really important in believing that I could get well, and really having this strong desire to get well, embracing the support of people around me. I had my teammates, I had uh rivals on the swim and dive team. In my conference, we had a major conference championship the first week that I got to Mexico. But there was a supplement as well that my mom's friend had found had healed people with cancer, that I started taking right away. And actually, one of my oncologists had found that there was a B vitamin that had killed melanoma cells on contact in her lab, and I
Mhm.
started excuse me, taking that as well. Um, so it was within a couple of weeks that um that there was measurable shrinkage, even though I wasn't sure if that was reliable, because somebody, they just took a, not a ruler, but some kind of measuring tape and measured under my chin how large the lymph node was there.
So you saw multiple oncologists. One gave you 7 to 14 months. One gave you 2 years.
Mhm.
You decided not to go that route at all. Take
I
any.
did do one round of chemo pills before I went to Mexico. I did do that as well.
Okay, not the full treatment, but one round.
Right, 5 pills over 5 days. And it's called Temodar, which is often used in brain cancer as well.
Now, how did you do on that one round, and why did you stop?
Well, it was kind of to buy time because it was already a couple weeks into researching, and it was very aggressive, and I didn't want to do nothing for too long. Where, I was taking supplements, but
Sure.
and then I just wanted to stop it because I wanted to go to Mexico and pursue the alternatives.
Gotcha. Fascinating. So walk us through the journey from this point on. You went to Mexico. How were things? You started seeing changes. Kind of just talk us through the rest of the journey and bring us to the current situation.
And what kind of treatments did you get? What did you eat there? What did you drink?
So on the Gerson therapy, well, I woke up at 6 in the morning. I got a liver shot in intramuscularly in the muscle above, my butt, and then followed by a coffee enema, which was to detoxify the liver. And then my doctor would come in, maybe a couple hours later, give me my treatment plan for the day. I'd get breakfast. They gave me a piece of like maybe Ezekiel bread, very low sodium whole wheat bread, oatmeal, some dry or stewed fruit, and orange juice. And then, like, I don't know, an hour later, I would get another juice. And I had 13 juices throughout the day, every hour or so. I had 3 coffee enemas per day. I guess like around the time of each meal, whether it was before or after. And lunch and dinner consisted of Hippocrates soup and a baked potato, and then some cooked vegetables and a raw vegetable salad.
Now the juices, what were in the juice? Were they all veggie, or the one fruit plus veggie, or what were the juices consist of?
There were 3 different juices. The first juice was just orange juice. And then throughout the day, I would have either carrot apple juice or a green juice, which had 7 ingredients: romaine, escarole, Swiss chard, green bell pepper, red cabbage, watercress, and Granny Smith apple.
So it seems like you got a lot of your vitamin C and A from juices. With the
Yeah, sure.
citrus and all that. Interesting.
Mhm.
Okay. Now, did you get vitamin infusions there, vitamin C infusions there also, or just coffee enemas and the other injections?
I got a couple of vitamin C infusions. They were maybe 5 or 6 grams, so really not very high.
Okay. Exercise, fresh air, sunshine.
It wasn't prescribed, but I did go ride a horse on the beach one day, and that was pretty cool.
Accommodations like, was it very nice accommodations? Was it
It was in the hospital. It was
Uh,
my mom and I shared a room. We each had our own bed on different sides of the room. It was small, but I had my own bathroom, and it wasn't a big fancy hospital, but I had a window where I could see out toward the beach. I couldn't see the beach itself, but I could see the sunset in the evening. So that was pretty.
Gotcha. Fascinating.
What's in Hippocrates soup?
Leeks, celery root, and onion. They might have added other vegetables like tomato. That was like pretty much the basis of the soup. Potato.
And you
as
would
well.
have Hippocrates soup 3 times a day? Twice a day. Okay.
Yeah.
And it was cooked.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Some days I even got cactus as part of the cooked vegetables.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
Yeah.
How do they cook the cactus? They boil it or what? The cactus leaf?
I don't know actually how they cooked it exactly, but yeah, I'm not sure. However they cooked the other vegetables.
Yeah, probably steam or boil it. Wow.
Yeah, probably.
So
Yeah.
how long were you there?
3 weeks. And by the time I left there, I could no longer feel the lump under my chin.
Whoa.
wow.
Yeah. It was about maybe an inch or an inch and a half, I think, when it started, when it was first measured before I got
Did
there.
you get any scans or imaging after you returned after that 3 weeks?
Yeah, after another 3 weeks, I did like almost everything at home except for the intravenous infusions. I had a scan, and my doctor, uh, he didn't know what to say, but he essentially said, um, that I was cancer free and I should just keep doing what I was doing because it was working.
He didn't ask you what you were doing?
He did. And he didn't recommend that I go to Mexico in the first place. But once he saw my results, he was like, I'm not going to tell you to not do what you're doing. So,
He didn't take notes or ask for phone numbers or anything like that to call
he
there?
took notes on the treatments that I did. I don't believe he called anyone that I worked with, but, and he didn't, like at subsequent visits, he wasn't asking me about it again.
Hmm.
I don't know if, I don't know why, but.
Fascinating, fascinating.
And
So,
I had three years of clean scans after that.
wow, wow. So tell us about where you are now and what you do and your current mission and everything. I mean, this is a beautiful story.
Thank you. Well, I was very much into counseling people who had cancer for maybe 7 years or so. But then toward the end of that, I lost a few friends, several people that I had worked with, and I had gotten closer with those people at that time, and so it was very difficult for me. And I've uh, I guess you could say distance myself from that. So I'm not doing a lot of that at this time. Sometimes I'll speak with someone, but not really like an official consultation type thing. As a coach, but more like an advocate. Um, and I try not to shy away from showing other people the way that I live and eat and my lifestyle, and that I do to prevent the cancer from coming back, and use that as a testimony to say, hey, like, I'm very serious about this, and I think we all ought to pay mind to the things that we eat and drink and do, because a lot of people are getting sick and there has to be reasons why.
No,
Can I
that's
ask, doing Gerson is very labor intensive, with the 13
Mhm.
juices a day, the Hippocrates soup. How did you get all that work done?
Well, I had a lot of help. I had still 3 semesters left at college after this,
Mhm.
and the dining staff actually made my soup and juices for me, which
wow.
was incredible. I
Where'd you
would
So
go
not
to
have
we
been able
school?
to do
do.
it without them. Yes,
You went to
exactly.
Boston University.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Wait, where'd you go to school?
Boston
Boston
University.
University.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but before I went back, there were people in my community who volunteered to come Monday through Friday while my parents were at work, and I was still getting Coley's treatment, so I was tired and I didn't know have all the energy I needed to make the juices and the soup and the coffee. So that was a huge blessing as well to have those people. And I also decreased the amount of juices I was having, gradually over the period of months or a couple of years.
Did you include the iodine in your juices?
I did for I don't remember exactly how long, maybe over a year.
Was it 2% or 5% that you were, do you remember?
2%, I
2%.
believe.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
I think I started at 8 drops and then 6 drops, 5 drops, 3 drops a day.
Okay.
And then I stopped it.
Okay.
And I was also putting potassium salts into the juices at that time as well. But then Gar had determined that in his experience, it didn't seem to make much of a difference. So he'd stopped prescribing that for people. But that was like to help with flushing out excess sodium from the cells, which was like part of the Gerson.
So that's the thing in Gerson, right? The enemy of the Gerson really thought that sodium was very negative. So could you mention that?
Yeah, I just read part of a paper recently about sodium, and I think it disrupts the structure of the cells. It damages the cells, and that's one of the reasons it's toxic with too much excess sodium. So naturally not naturally, our cells need more potassium inside than sodium. I think what is it, 3-to-1 ratio. And like outside the cells, there's more sodium. So the cells there's like a pump in the membrane of the cell to pump out sodium and pump in potassium. And just flooding the body with excess potassium and keeping a super low sodium diet is supposed to help with that. Restore the proper balance of sodium and potassium inside the cells.
Yeah, potassium sodium ratio is really key. If you're getting both low sodium and low potassium, if they're both low, but the ratio is low, 1-to-1, it's still a problem.
Mm.
What the ratio of potassium and sodium you bring in, regardless of whatever the absolute levels are, and then the system will balance itself out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've been revisiting that, and like raisins are very high in potassium, and figs, I believe dried currants have a very high ratio of potassium to sodium, and I believe even cherries as well. So there's some neat fruits that we can have that are.
Yeah, no, plant foods are rich in potassium, and so that's very good. So do you do many speaking engagements? I mean, obviously here tonight, what other type of speaking events do you perform?
I've done a few. The Healing Strong conference in 2018, I spoke at that. And then the last one, was it last year? 2023 October, or maybe it was 2022. I did a presentation on the Gerson therapy. The one before that, I had just shared my testimony basically and talked a little bit about Coley's toxins. And I've spoken to a couple of Healing Strong groups online, local groups.
Do you still work with Chris Wark of Square One?
No, I don't. Since I'm not doing as much coaching, but I did do at one point I was doing group coaching calls for him, and then I filled in recently in the last since the summer I did one, but not a lot.
So let me give you a hypothetical. So I'm a patient, and let's say I'm your down the street neighbor, and I've known about your story, and I just came from my doctor, and I was given this horrific diagnosis of heart failure. My doctor says you have 1 year to live, and I'm distraught, etc. And I go, baby, I just want to share with you, I was given this horrible diagnosis and 1 year to live, and the doctor gave me these medications, and I'm a mess. I mean, help me out here. What say you?
Mhm. Um, there are a couple of books that I recommend. One is by Chris. It's Beat Cancer Daily. It's a devotional book, like really short entries each day with a little bit of encouragement on how to, beat cancer, whether it's his advice or other people contributed to the devotional as well, other cancer survivors or practitioners. I think that's very helpful. The book Radical Hope by Dr. Kelly Turner, I recommend highly. That's includes research based off of like 1,500 plus radical remission cancer survivors or people of other incurable, diseases that doctors say are incurable. Um, Things like radically changing your diet, embracing social support, having strong reasons for living, deepening your spirituality, including physical activity, taking herbs and supplements. And then there's a few that I forget, but there's a story for each factor, healing factor, and then actual like medical peer-reviewed literature research on those things to back up the research that she found. So I find that like you've got the best that you could find there. And yeah, just sharing my story. That there's more hope than a lot of doctors might say there is, and they don't have all the resources that are available or can be used to heal. And nutrition is really important, and asking God for help, and anything is possible.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I want to open the floor for questions. Jackie, any other questions? Anybody else have their hand up with any questions? This is a remarkable story. While I wait for people to raise their hands for questions, again, I really want to emphasize, I mean, you make a lot of great points, certainly about hope. And it's really your ability and desire to heal itself. The body has the ability to heal itself. It starts here with the fact that okay, this is going to change, and I'm going to do whatever I need to do to change. I'm a spiritual person. I believe in God, Jesus Christ, and I say, okay, look, the God in heaven created me, and the God in heaven can rebuild me. So I rely on that person. And sure, doctors are doctors. We're indoctrinated to think a certain way, whatever, understood. Long story short is oftentimes we're given these challenges in life so that we can be strengthened by it. And I can only imagine how much growth and strength you've gained through this whole experience. And we often need to have a different emotional attachment to these so-called diseases. And we shouldn't look at them as horrific events that's just and that has our lives in their hands, but these are challenges that we are, blessed in some cases to take on. We're challenged to take on, and we should take them on. So whether that challenge is diabetes or heart disease or cancer, some other chronic illness, we should look at that as something that this is something that we have to take on, and we have to be diligent about our approach and aggressive about our approach to do this. Yes, the diet, the exercise, reach out for help and support. Whatever resources there are, you take advantage of those resources. And when there are no resources, then you become resourceful and create them. And so, but in your mind, it has to be by any means necessary, I'm going to overcome this. And by just having that thought and that intention, you've overcome the illness regardless of what the outcome is. We don't always control outcomes. I get in my car and drive somewhere, I don't know if I'm going to make it back. That's not a guarantee. The whole city can blow up. I don't control all that. But I can control my intention and say, okay, this illness will not defeat me because every moment I have breathing going forward, I'm going to work against and fight against and defeat it until my last breath. Whether that's 100 years from now, or 5 years from now, or 10 days from now, or whatever the case is. And once you have that mindset, then you have conquered whatever that illness or adversity is. And the body has the ability to heal itself. The mind has to lead the way.
So we have a question in the chat. How do you find safe places to do vitamin C injections?
I have a list on my website of doctors, clinics, and hospitals in the US and abroad that do alternative medicine. It's certainly not exhaustive, but it's a place to start. I think
we do them at Montgomery Heart and Wellness. We do them every day of the week, Monday through Friday.
Oh, great.
One of my staff came and gave me an IV vitamin C here at my house. I get them at my house.
Oh, nice.
So that's a special little thing that we don't have that service available for all, but we do ozone therapy, high dose vitamin C. We've done methylene blue, poly MVA. We do infrared sauna. We do plant-based diet at the restaurant on site. So those in the community that don't know about those things, check in with Jackie. We have a full set of services that we provide patients with all sorts of ailments.
Great.
What are the liver injections? You mentioned liver injections. Tell us about those again.
Yeah, I believe it was mostly B vitamins to support my liver.
Okay.
Did you take desiccated liver pills or just the injections?
Both. 3 times a day, maybe, with each meal.
For how long?
I don't remember. Maybe a couple of years or so.
Okay.
Daily. Okay. I noticed a question about did I use organic foods? Yeah, everything that I consumed was organic, certified organic. Yep. If you go to my it's BaileyO'Brien.com. There's a few tabs at the top. The last one is more. So if you hover over more and scroll down, there's a tab that says what I did to get well, and there everything is detailed there. There's the overview, and then each category, the will to live, food, my juice recipes, the juicer I use, the coffee that I use for enemas, toxins. I have a record of my injections, the number of units I used, and the temperature that resulted, and other supplements and treatments that I did on it. Right. Yeah, recently I've had some enlarged lymph nodes, and I got an ultrasound done, but I didn't share my medical history with them because I didn't want them to be overly concerned. And they just said they were basically normal, just a bit enlarged. Radiation and the PET scans and the injections in the MRIs with contrast and the CT scans. I agree. It's if you can avoid it. I was pretty confident that there was nothing wrong eventually. And my doctor wanted me to get a scan, and then the nurse or somebody kept calling me and wanting to schedule me for the scan. And I said, sure, okay, you can schedule the scan, but I'm not going to show up. So maybe just don't call.
Thank you. I guess that was the question I had a little bit was, here you are in college and you're eating differently from your peers. And from a lot of people probably in your life, how did you face social pressure? Did people think you were strange, the way you were eating? How did you handle that? Other people's comments or interest or?
Yeah, I mean, it happens every day still. I went to a small group meeting, Bible study yesterday, and I brought my own food, and I had a little bit of what they provided, but I had my organic salad that I brought with me. And I mean, afterward, I thanked them, like, thank you for accepting me as I am, being a weird food person. And there's a gentleman at church who approached me maybe a year or two ago. He said, I have to apologize because um I I thought you were crazy. I thought your food was, weird. And he said, but you're right. I learned that it's true. What you eat matters, and the stuff we've been eating is junk and bad for you and causes disease. And I've made the changes in my diet, and I noticed the difference.
So
So
you were a witness for him.
praise God.
Yeah.
So yeah, it certainly has been, sometimes it's harder than others, but a lot of people do recognize that it's been important to me and something that I've really believed in. And to varying degrees, other people believe in it as well, and they're certainly not knocking me. Although sometimes when I've brought food to share, it hasn't been received as as well. Um, it can be harder to make foods taste the way that other things do, and sometimes you're just not going to be able to do it, and people may or may not like it. But
Right.
I mean, natural organic food can taste amazing. Like, I brought organic figs. I had cut them up for an event recently, and lots of people liked them, and they're very sweet. So it can be a good thing.
Mike asks, he's asking, do you still do enemas? But can you talk about why you do the enemas, or why you did the enemas, and what the purpose is? And you're not using Folgers, are you? I mean, it's just choice that you're using, right?
What's funny? One time or a couple times I did. One time I was traveling and I was at an Airbnb, and I used the coffee that they had provided, but I'm pretty sure it was old, and I'm pretty sure it made me feel terrible. So I didn't do that again.
So the purpose of these coffee enemas, like, why do you do coffee enemas 3 times a day?
Well, it's to help detoxify the liver. It helps dilate the bile duct. So the bile duct is like attached to the liver, and it releases bile, which contains salts that bind with toxins that are, filtered from the blood. And so it basically helps with getting toxins out of the body. And Gerson believed that the liver was the most important organ in the body to help with detoxification. He one of his pillars of his therapy, or beliefs in the therapy, was that the body gets sick and develops cancer because of a burden, high amounts of toxicity in the body. And so one of the reasons that he used the nutrition to such an extreme degree was to help, partly to replete the body of nutrients that were deficient, but also to the nutrients flooding into the cells kind of like pushes out the toxins into the blood, and then the liver filters the blood supply and excretes the toxins through the enemas and bowel movements.
Do you still use that coffee enemas?
Lately I have not, because one of my liver enzymes was low, so I've taken a break. But I might on occasion I do them, and I might go back to doing it more
find that they give you energy?
Oh, yes.
You get the coffee buzz from
Yes.
the enemas. Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
If cancer has, so Marcia asks, if cancer has metastasized to the liver, can you still do the enemas? What a fascinating question.
Yeah, it's a good question. I believe you can, as long as it's not blocking the bile duct. Because if you don't, like, if the duct is blocked, then you could, you don't want, like, a buildup of bile in the duct. You'd have to make a way for it to escape, like an exit route. I believe that's from what I've learned from Gar Hildenbrand. I believe that's, you know, consult with your physician, and or an alternative practitioner.
You went from not really being, I guess maybe you were a person, I'm not sure if you were a person of faith before, but when did your faith really blossom?
It was after I was healed and I wanted to know if God was real, why I was alive, why I got to live and other people didn't, what the purpose of my life was. And it was kind of funny, part of my faith, what helped me in my faith was actually during a coffee enema, because I had been doing them for probably 3 months or so. So I had done like almost 300 enemas and I was still struggling with them. Still, you know, I was not able to hold it, you know, the whole time, every time. And I cried out, God help me. And just in an instant, my stomach was settled, and that really was like it. I was able to hold them like just fine after that. But yeah, so just I wanted to live a joyful life after almost losing my life, and just getting a clean slate. Like I didn't even know, like I knew though this cancer was gone here, but I didn't know if the other cancer was even growing or shrinking in the other places in my body. And then when my doctor said I was all gone, that was like, that just was an overwhelming experience that really caused me to search. And I wanted to maintain that joy, and I was like, I can't do it. So that's what caused me to search in my faith. And then I went to Bible study and learned what scripture says about God's love and forgiveness, and that it's unconditional through faith. Our forgiveness is through faith in what Jesus did on the cross for our sins. It's not according to what we do. And I wanted that. And then I realized that Jesus was a lot like the alternative treatments that I pursued, that they were always there, just hadn't really given them a chance before, had open eyes or ears or heart to it. And the treatments worked, and there's a lot of evidence for Jesus's life, death, and resurrection as well. So who was I to say that that wasn't true?
Mm-hmm.
You know, oftentimes people say, you know, you're in a situation where there's no other hope. So all the other therapies and all the other stuff, everything's run its course. And you know, the other situations in life where people come to, well, I tried this and I tried that, you know, whether it's an illness or something else, and there was nothing else. And the only thing was left was God, Jesus. And the interesting thing about that is that you look at that in the sense that everything else has been pushed out of the way, and the real answer is the only answer that's left. All the other fake answers that were things that you went after, this chemo, that chemo, this radiation, you know, those things were all options. And sometimes the worst thing someone can have is another treatment option that only gets in the way of the real treatment, which is the things that you did. And so I thought that was, it's kind of fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm thankful in a way that there weren't really any options left for me, because then I was kind of forced to pursue the alternatives, and thank God, like it all worked. So I'm very grateful and blessed.
And the so-called alternatives were really definitive therapy, in other words.
Yeah, and yeah, they've been studied and just ignored.
I mean, just think about it. After the first chemotherapy, when you were in so-called remission, what if your docs had known about the nutrition and all the other things, had prescribed that early on? You wouldn't have had the recurrence.
Yeah, it's very possible.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, this is great. This is fantastic. Look, thank you very much for sharing your wonderful story. And thank God for your story and for your courage and the things you do. And we wish you well in your future endeavors, and continue to encourage the world, because this is a story that needs to continue to get out. There are many people who need to hear from you. And so hopefully you'll continue as an advocate and speaker. And again, thank you for ingratiating our community tonight.
Thank you,
Thank
Billy.
you. Oh gosh, thank you so much. It's such a privilege and joy to do this.
As usual, community, thank you guys for participating. And we look forward to seeing you to the next event. Until then, y'all have a Merry Christmas and enjoy your holiday season. Get lots of rest, as I will do the same. And we'll see you on the next on the
Stump the
next
Chump.
Stump the Chump. That's when? Next week.
Can't wait.
Yep, the 17th.
We'll see you on the 17th, God willing. Y'all have a good evening.